When it comes to game preservation, few companies suck at it more than frickin' Nintendo. Look, I love their games. They've brought me great joy, but some of their business strategies are questionable at best. I mean, they've taken down all of these emulation and ROM websites, and yet they can't bother to bring their huge library of classic games into the modern era via virtual console and whatnot. The rollout of those games, it's been so slow, and it's just not ideal how Nintendo's been handling their past generation titles. And this situation is about to get much worse with the 3DS and Wii U eShop shutting down. They announced it on the official Nintendo customer support website. I like to go through this, share my thoughts. Obviously, I'm not very happy about this at all. As someone who might consider going back to 3DS and Wii U and consider buying some games I haven't bought before. So, here we go. As of late March of 2023, it will no longer be possible to make purchases in Nintendo eShop for the Wii U system and the Nintendo 3DS family of systems. Obviously, what that means is that if a game is digital only, and there are plenty of digital only games on both 3DS and Wii U, those games are literally gone forever on an official capacity. Fortunately, there are ROM websites out there that preserve these games, but in terms of your ability to buy these games, that's just going to be an impossibility after March of 2023. You'll either have to resort to buying physical or resort to other less official means. As this date draws closer, related services will cease to function. As of May 23rd, 2022, which is not too far off, it will no longer be possible to use a credit card to add funds to an account in Nintendo eShop on Wii U or the Nintendo 3DS family of systems. So prior to these stores shutting down, they're going to make it more of a pain in the ass to add the funds necessary to buy these games. And then as of August 29th, 2022, it'll no longer be possible to use a Nintendo eShop card to add funds to an account in the Nintendo eShop on Wii U or the Nintendo 3DS family systems. However, it will be possible to redeem download codes until late March of 2023, until the store gets shut down. Your balance can only be used to purchase content for the Nintendo Switch family of systems, meaning that if you have funds that you would consider using for 3DS and Wii U, after a certain point, those funds can only be utilized to buy Switch games. It'll still be possible to re-download games and DLC, receive software updates, and enjoy online play on Wii U and the Nintendo 3DS family of systems. So say you bought a digital game and downloaded it, played it, and then deleted it. That game's not gone, or it's not going to be gone after the store shut down. Those can still be re-downloaded. Obviously, there'd be an uproar if Nintendo came out and said, if you don't download all your games by this date, this window, purchase games will be gone too. That'd be ridiculous. So you can re-download already purchased games. It's just you're not going to be able to buy new ones after late March 2023. And then down here we have a Q&A section. Why is this happening? This is part of the natural cycle of any product line as it becomes less used by consumers over time. That's fair, but they're games that need to be preserved and that could be adapted into the modern era, and it feels like Nintendo's just not placing enough of a priority there. They're just not valuing the importance of preserving these games. And, you know, there are plenty of classic games that people just don't know about because they're so old. If you announce them and start bringing them to Nintendo Switch via Virtual Console or via ports, people will buy them, especially given how huge the Switch user base is. It feels like both a lost opportunity from a business standpoint, and it's a lose-lose for customers who would maybe want to check out these games and officially buy them one of these days. We want to give you money for these games if, you know, the business model is good and if you bring these games to the modern era, but Nintendo's just like not doing enough for this. Something else to note is that online play will be preserved. So if you have a multiplayer game, that's not going to be a feature that's gone, like Super Smash Brothers, for example, for 3DS, you're still going to be able to play that online after March 2023. It's just you're not going to be able to buy new games is the primary thing. No plans to make any further changes at this time in regards to online play, but at this time suggests that one of these days, online play will absolutely shut down for 3DS. That's what the wording here at this time seems to suggest, leaving the door open in case Nintendo one day decides to shut down online play. Now, here's something that Kotaku noticed in their report. There was actually an FAQ question that was deleted that asked, will you make classic games available to own some other way? If not, then why? Doesn't Nintendo have an obligation to preserve its classic games by continually making them available for purchase? So it looks like Nintendo is on some level aware of the backlash surrounding just how little focus and how little care they place on the idea of game preservation, the response reads, across our Nintendo Switch Online membership plans, over 130 classic games are currently available in growing libraries for various legacy systems. The games are often enhanced with new features such as online play. It is true that they've ported over some classics, but there's so many games on Wii U and 3DS that will likely never get ported over, that will be gone forever. We think this is an effective way to make classic content easily available to a broad range of players. Within these libraries, new and longtime players can not only find games they remember or have heard about, but other fun games they might not have thought to seek out otherwise. We currently have no plans to offer classic content in other ways. So basically what we're doing now with the whole Nintendo Switch Online subscription that gives you access to classic games from NES, SNES, N64, like that's the plan that we're going to go for, but the rollout of classic games just isn't fast enough. The library of games that's missing from previous classic titles, it's still vast. And as far as digital-only games go on Wii U and 3DS, check this out. From Video Games Chronicle, up to 1,000 digital-only games will disappear when Nintendo closes its 3DS and Wii U stores. They touted, well, we have like 130 classic games, or not even from 3DS and Wii U, that's available on the Switch. But what about the up to 1,000 digital-only games that will literally disappear officially from the face of the planet unless people rely on emulation, on ROMs that are going to be uploaded on websites that Nintendo constantly, actively is trying to shut down? The only time I've agreed with Nintendo going after emulation is when they managed to get Gary Bowser, yes, Bowser is actually his last name, sentenced to 3 years in jail because he was not only putting ROMs out there, he was actually trying to profit off of them, and he was also trying to essentially ransom people, as noted here by Fal Koopa. The dude used to make malware that would break your Switch if you didn't pay him. This is one time Nintendo is in the right. He had an awful reputation in the modding community for selling a Switch mod containing people's work for profit and having the gal to put a code in to break the console if you didn't pay him before using this mod. This isn't like Emu Paradise where you could empathize with him. And with this specific individual, there was a lot of shady stuff going on, like how Bowser and Lavoie were charged with 11 felony counts, including wire fraud and conspiracy to commit money laundering. And on top of that, U.S. Attorney Brian Moran said that these defendants lined their pockets by stealing and selling the intellectual property of other video game developers, even going as far as to make customers pay a licensing fee to play stolen games. Yeah, a lot of lines were clearly crossed here, and in this case, I wouldn't say the intent was to preserve games or to offer emulation as an option to play enhanced versions of games. This was just strictly profiteering. And with how he threatened to break people's consoles in the Switch modding scene and stuff like that, this guy sounds like a real piece of work. But this case aside, every other case, I'm just like, Nintendo, if you're going to do this, at least show us some semblance of enthusiasm towards preserving your games, because right now there's literally no other way to play so many of your games, and now up to 1,000 games will be added to that list. Recall that Sony at one point faced similar backlash because they relayed plans to shut down stores for PSP, PS3, and PS Vita in August, though the backlash got bad enough that they did eventually reverse their position on April 19th, 2021, stating PlayStation Store on PS3 and PS Vita will continue operations, though enough features on that front have been compromised that it is kind of a pain in the ass to shop on the PS3 and Vita stores, so it's not ideal, but the games aren't completely gone because people pushed back and told Sony, hey, there are plenty of valuable games here that will be gone forever if you insist on taking this route. So the hope for me is that there's going to be enough backlash surrounding how Nintendo's handling Wii U and 3DS stores that they too will kind of listen and maybe pull a similar move as Sony, though Nintendo tends to be more stubborn than Sony and Xbox. With backlash even, they tend to just stick to their weird plans. So I'll be honest, I'm a little more pessimistic about Nintendo backtracking on this front, but this is still worth discussing. It's still worth putting out there. It's still worth talking about how this is gonna decimate the existence of up to 1,000 Wii U and 3DS games. And once again, I'll bring up the importance of emulation. I do know that emulation can be abused by people, but I think it is more of a force for good, given how these game companies are handling their games and just letting their games die off into the ether. If it wasn't for emulation and ROMs, so many games would literally be lost forever with no recourse to buy them, to play them, to preserve them. And look, I'm among the crowd who would love to revisit 3DS and Wii U one day when I have the time, and I'm sad about the prospect of losing so many games. And so, yeah, I'm probably going to end up relying on emulation as well, since, you know, Nintendo can't bother to keep their games preserved in the modern era. So, and that's what many people will do. Nintendo, if you want to fight against emulation and ROMs, if it's something you're so against, offer something better than that. And people will pay for it too. It's good for business. But this is one man's take. Let me know in the comments below what your thoughts and opinions are on the latest surrounding Nintendo and the way they're shutting down Wii U and 3DS stores. Is this a big deal for you? Are you in the same camp that I am, or is it something you don't care about as much? I am always gonna stand for game preservation and in turn game emulation. But that's just me. Share your thoughts in the comments below, and to be further updated on all things gaming news, reviews, and discussions, stay tuned right here on Young Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Young out.